5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Who are you?
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our plan. No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Welcome to 50/50 Media.
Hello and welcome to Normee Reviews. I'm Normee, and today we are joined by Cynic and Stannon. And today we're going to be discussing House of the Dragon Episode 2. And I just want to start this off by saying that I really enjoy the show so far. With the others, I understand I wasn't a fan of how they ended Game of Thrones, but for me, the change in showrunners and the fact that this story is already finished, and this has been a strong start, that's good enough for me. But let's hear from Stannon. What are your thoughts?
So far, so good. I'm still kind of approaching this with caution, but I have to say that it's hard not to like this show, especially considering the current atmosphere in Hollywood. But it seems strange to me because the marketing for this show doesn't translate very well, because the whole idea of woke in this is very well done, and the marketing seems to try to spin it like it's really heavy-handed, but it just isn't that way. For example, in the marketing and casting reviews, they talk about female empowerment and patriarchy bad, but the show actually has really well-written characters, and Viserys is shown to be a pretty good king. He really does care about his family. He seems to be a pretty good father figure. I mean, he's not perfect by any means. He's flawed like everyone else. Rainier, he's starting to stand out as a well-written character, as many characters are starting to get fleshed out now. Matt Smith, of course, shines as Daemon Targaryen. He really does an outstanding job in this, and while he may be the antagonist of the series, at least so far, he is a very layered and complex character, not just simply defined as a villain. In both episode 1 and 2, he shows that he does care about his family, so well done, and yeah, he just brings an X factor to the role. Oh yeah, Matt Smith is amazing in this. He did an excellent job.
Exactly. I would agree. These characters are very fun to watch, and the sets look really good. It's practical effects, and I always appreciate that. But how about you, Cynic? What did you think?
So first off, just to add to Stannon's thoughts about the marketing, I'm starting to think that it's all on purpose. And what I mean by that is that they're starting to understand that they can have their cake and eat it too. So the normal crowd that does enjoy all the woke messaging and virtue signaling are usually just on Twitter, and they don't actually watch the shows. So people making these can promote it as such, come up with some kind of twisted justification just on the off chance that someone in that sphere does watch it, but then they can actually make the show for the fan. And honestly, I'm okay with that as long as they keep making good shows. But anyway, I do like House of the Dragon, and knowing that they have a finished inning, hopefully they end up nailing that landing. As far as this particular episode goes, I really enjoyed the plot intricacies. The dialogue was definitely up to snuff. They're starting to tell some good character stories. There are some flaws, and we'll touch on those when we get there. Normee?
This episode starts off with a small council meeting, and Corlys Velaryon, he burst in and starts talking about the trouble he's having with the pirates that he mentioned in episode 1. They start to discuss what's being done about it, and the king says that he's sending envoys to some of the free cities to see if they can do something about it. And Rainier, princess, she speaks up and suggests that they send dragon riders to Essos as a show of force, and the king ends up dismissing her and has her.
And I see this, and sorry, but I just see this as showing the whole no one listens to her because she's a girl, but she just undermined the king in the presence of the small council. It only seems natural in that situation that he's going to dismiss her. And I think that would have happened the same to a son. It doesn't matter. They're too young. They're not of age anyway. And she's just speaking up like that. But he still gives her an important task to go pick out the King's Guard. They had a member die, and the former Lord Commander died, and they promoted a new one, and she gets to choose the new guard. And I'll go ahead and jump ahead that at the dinner scene, he's not just shutting her down. I think in his eyes, he's being nice because he could have punished her or at least lectured her about not undermining his decisions in front of others because they need to be seen as a united force. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so he gives her the task of picking out a new King's Guardsman instead. And it shows the scene, and they have all the knights like out in front of her, and the Lord Commander of the King's Guard is everyone is, and she wants to pick someone that actually has real battle experience, and the only one that has it is Sir Kristen Cole. He was the knight in the first episode that beat Daemon in the joust, and the hand says that it's not a good idea, that she should pick someone else, but she stands up, for what she says, and says that a guy with real battle experience should be protecting the king. So yeah, he gets to make that decision. And then we get a little bit of Alicent, the hand's daughter, and the king hanging out, and he has this big sculpture in his room, and it's of like old Valyria, and it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
And then the follow-up scene is basically kind of like a mirror scene with Rainier instead of the king and Alicent, and they're at the Sept.
I just want to jump in here and add that this is some good examples of good writing and having characters that have like real motives and feel real. Alicent is visiting the king per the request of her father. She doesn't seem too particularly thrilled about it, but he's also mentioned that, or told her not to mention it to Rainier. But he also asked about Rainier, and Alicent just basically tells him that he needs to just talk to her. And then in the next scene, when you get Rainier and Alicent together, she basically tells Rainier the same thing, because Rainier is wanting to talk to her father and feels like he just dismisses her all the time. So she really does care about Rainier and the king too, really, and she wants to help. And I just love the way they went about it. Anyway, continue, Normee.
So, yeah, next we get the king. He's talking to Corlys and Rainier, the queen that never was. They kind of have a little chit-chat, and they end up offering their daughter to marry the king, which he's kind of hesitant, but we don't really know why at first, because it seems like a pretty good match, because, I mean, the Targaryens were known to marry family members, so, and this also would unite the two Valyrian households together, Valerion and Targaryen. But we find out the reason he's kind of hesitant is because she's only 12.
And again, this would be a part where they could have really made Viserys look like a monster, but they don't. He obviously doesn't want to marry a child, even if it is the best political move. And we're kind of shown here where he's kind of starting to like Alicent. And they have some good scenes together. He breaks a little dragon figure, and she ends up getting it fixed for him. And spoiler alert, he does end up picking Alicent as his wife, much to the disdain of Corlys. Sorry, I know I'm jumping ahead.
All good, man. So after that, we get that scene that you were just mentioning where Alicent gives him the repaired figurine, or the dragon that was broken. But the hand ends up coming in and brings the king to a small council meeting where they get debriefed about how Daemon stole one of the dragon eggs. And Rhaenyra, she asks which one that he ended up stealing, and they tell her that it's the one that she had chosen for her brother, who died in the first episode. Remember, the mom said that Rhaenyra had already picked out a dragon egg to go in the cradle. And the king gets really upset, and he starts to head off to Dragonstone, but the hand, he stops him, and he insists that he go instead so as to protect the king. But we all kind of think that he has some ulterior motives.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that he's trying to stir the pot between Daemon and the king.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But anyway, the king tells him to go, and he heads off, and he takes some men and a couple members of the King's Guard, and they meet Daemon out on that little like bridgeway on the way to Dragonstone, and tensions start to really mount, and then his dragon ends up coming out, and Otto or the Hand and the guys don't know what to do, and Rhaenyra shows up on her dragon and confronts her uncle.
And I just had to say, Matt Smith, he nails every single scene he's in, including this one. She walks up to him, says that he's living in her castle, and he doesn't deny it. He just says that it's not hers until she comes of age. She bluntly tells him that she's the reason for his anger, and that if he wants to be heir again, he's going to have to kill her. And then basically just says, do it right here, right now. Come on, just get it over with. But he doesn't. And this is because, again, he's a multi-layered character, and while he is really mad right now, he still loves his family, and honestly, I feel like he's just trying to provoke Viserys to get attention, kind of like many little brothers do to their older brothers. My only problem is I would have liked to seen her work up her way to such a strong political maneuver, especially considering the time jumps between the episodes. They could kind of add some stuff in there, but I guess they're trying to hurry it along. But it's a small bad. It's a small problem, really, though. It's a small problem, though.
Yeah. You know, I really liked that scene. It was pretty cool. I liked it. You know, it was really good. I just really enjoyed how tough she was in that. And then when she gets back, they tell the king that she's returned from Dragonstone, and he starts getting on to her about, you know, the fact that she could have died and everything. And then, you know, they kind of talk about her having to get married, and she says that she's okay with it. And they kind of have it's a really nice little heart-to-heart chat that they have. And he does tell her in this scene that he's not going to replace her as the heir, even if he does end up having a son.
Yep, he sure does.
We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, so then after that, kind of shows the next day, and they have a small council chamber meeting, and the king announces that he's getting married.
Hold on. So as soon as this scene started, I knew he was going to pick Allison, because she's standing in the room next to the hand, and nobody finds this unusual. She hasn't been in a single small council meeting as of yet in this show, and she's standing in there, and the king announces that he's getting married. Of course, it's going to be to her. Why else is she there? Yeah, I have to say that's a really good point. Once you mentioned it, I completely agreed, but I didn't really catch it at first. Yeah, I don't think too many people did, but my issue isn't just the predictability of the scene or anything like that. It's just that we didn't have anything that set this up other than their little visits. There should have been some dialogue and a scene with Otto, the hand, and Viserys, the king, about this marriage. I'm sure that they did indeed talk off screen because, you know, she's there and he's not surprised whatsoever. I really wish they would have shown that and just had a little conversation there where he offers, or the king mentions it even. It's not even Otto offering, it's the king bring it up. I also really don't like the fact that he didn't tell Rainier. Like, she had to find out in front of everybody like this, and he knows that the two of them are close friends. He should have told her what was going on.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. And the king acts all surprised when Rainier is like upset by the news. Yeah, this kind of royally pisses off Corlys Valerion, who thought he was going to announce that it was his daughter that he was going to marry. So he ends up going to Daemon for help with the pirate problem.
And see, this is another really good scene that shows how much Daemon cares about his family, because Corlys starts bad-mouthing the king, and Daemon tells him he can't talk about the king like that. And it's kind of one of those, I can say and do whatever to my brother, but if you talk shit, I'm going to be the one that shuts you up. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Daemon still respects Viserys, for sure.
For sure. But yeah, so that's kind of how episode 2 ends. And they also kind of show a couple scenes with the crabmen, the pirate guys, but I'm sure they'll get more to that in the next episode, which for me, you know, I'm really looking forward to. I think the show has had a pretty good start. But Standon, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I really hope that they don't mess this up, because I swear if I get burned by them in season 3 or whatever, I'm going to be very upset. But I guess we're going to just have to wait and see. Compared to everything else we're getting these days, like She-Hulk, Obi-Wan, Halo, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, this is by far the best. I would dare say that compared to the turds of this era's entertainment, a masterpiece. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not better than Game of Thrones' earlier seasons, but Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen does match the level of Sean Bean as Ned Stark. They both have great presence, personality, charisma, and hopefully we'll get to see more of Daemon, and I would recommend viewers watching it. He is amazing. He really is. And I could see that, Ned Stark, Daemon.
All right. Yeah. So, Seneca, how about you?
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I really do like this show. They've done a pretty decent job so far, but I'm expecting at any time this show's just going to come crashing down. I'm having a hard time believing that it's actually going to stay good, but like we all keep saying, we'll see. I wouldn't recommend this show without saying don't get too attached, because every episode of this could be its last. We'll just have to see if they can maintain the course and stick the landing, but I have my doubts.
All right. Well, that's the end of this video. Check back for all our upcoming new videos. Thank you for watching. I'm Normee.
I'm Stannon. I'm Cynic.
And we are 50/50 Media.
Well, that's it for this video. If you like what you saw here today, I do encourage you to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you'll be alerted to all our future videos. I appreciate the time you've taken out of your day to join us. I'll see you in the next one, and we are 50/50 Media.